Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gaming Daddy channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, my video is a little bit out of whack in the way that I've actually tweaked the resolution because there is something I really want to highlight in this video. So do me a favor as you watch the video and listen to pretty much the commentary. Look at the bottom of my agent screen right underneath where I have my skills and look at all of the buffs that are procced at any given time during the course of the video. This is a clip from a legendary mission that I just played today, 6/7/2021. An amazing legendary mission that I played on the PlayStation 5 with a group of randomly match-made folks. One of us even was a level 50 player, and you could tell they probably, are already a member of a clan and probably are playing on a second account. The way it seemed they had some knowledge of the game, if you were to ask me. Now, why am I highlighting this? Why am I highlighting the buffs as something that I feel we need to, kind of take a look at, kind of, with one part of your eyes anyways, just kind of, give it a glance from time to time. And that's because in the past few days, what I've seen with playing legendary missions, pretty much on the new player side, or even some players who have played long enough, is I don't think many agents are considering exactly some of the measures that have been, implemented when developing the legendary missions and the measures that have been given to us when you actually group up and matchmake in a team when you go into these legendary missions. And in this video, I think it's going to be very pertinent and important to actually talk about these things because I strongly believe that if this is something that any agent can tap into, I guarantee you that many agents are going to be much more successful in doing these legendary runs, because one of the reasons people run legendaries, believe it or not, is so that they can get the ultimate prize at the end, which is the bighorn, which at the end of the mission, once you take out the boss, one of the things that happens is as the boss is taken down, you can get a bighorn. I got one at the end of this mission, and it was quite interesting because, I asked who wanted a bighorn and I gave it away, and somebody needed it. They'd been playing for about a year and hadn't gotten themselves one of these particular weapons. Now, what is the issue and how can it be mitigated? A lot of agents come into the legendary stronghold missions with builds that are more suited for legendary summit missions. Now, I understand a lot of these builds are supposedly there to be able to change the game for you when you're in the summit. You have to deal with objectives. You have to deal with a lot of unknowns. Enemy NPCs can spawn from different areas. And most importantly, the combat is close quarters at almost every given turn. Now, yes, you do have some level of flexibility when it comes to, how the combat can happen, but largely it's very different from the stronghold missions. The stronghold missions, the advantage that you have is where all the enemy NPCs are coming from. It is this particular aspect that you have to leverage and go in and win the mission, because unlike the summit with the legendary strongholds, you do not have a second chance. Every time before the boss that you and your group wipes out, you have to start the mission all over again. Whereas the summit, there is a benchmark floor that you can actually do over again, which can actually mitigate some of the progress that you've lost. So what is important when it is you're coming into a legendary mission? I feel like every individual has got to be flexible. I feel like anybody that comes into the game must understand that they are working to help their entire team. And so that's why I started out this video saying, look at the bottom of my agent's HUD, and at every given time, look at the amount of buffs that are procced, because these buffs are being worked on by not just myself, but other members of the team. I made this build when I went into this mission with the mind of giving my team a buff as much as I can. And you can tell that even our level 51 agent, they turned 51 in the course of this mission, they actually built, believe it or not, a future initiative build. This was quite impressive because somebody had asked them, do you have another build? And they were like, no, I don't have any build. I'm working on my damage build. And they were like, no problem. That future initiative build by itself is already a huge boost and a huge bonus to the team. Many agents come in with these builds with SMGs and sometimes with Scorpio builds to some of these missions like Roosevelt Island. And I'm like, Roosevelt Island is designed for long distance play. Like, you literally have to be far away from the enemy NPCs to get the very best out of them. You cannot necessarily run around in Roosevelt Island and do close quarters combat because the mission is not designed that way. And so again, these things seem to behoove a lot of our community And I understand, people are new. Some people have played the Summit because the Summit is an easier way to kind of get into legendary content without a lot of the punishment. But in the legendary missions, we really need to achieve those goals as a community in getting people their, bighorn, assault rifles, in giving people more confidence in finishing the missions and having them available to play the day that we want to play and get our exotic caches. Because if what will happen is this: if we continue to play, in a way that doesn't necessarily get us through these missions and get us through these missions in, I would say, a respectable time. I'm not saying everybody has to knock out the mission in 30 minutes. For crying out loud, even this smooth mission still took about an hour. What's going to happen is eventually people are going to lose patience in playing these legendary missions. In fact, in my legendary tutorials, when I have conversations in the community, I see a lot of people who tell me, man, I have no patience to play these legendary missions. And I think one of the reasons is probably because their experiences are not the greatest. I've played legendary missions much worse with people with much higher shade levels, meaning they've been playing the game longer, but they haven't necessarily understood what it means to actually play a team-based, or play the legendary missions in a team-based approach. And so these are some of the things that really do, I would say, hinder a lot of the community from actually taking the time to actually play these missions. Now, how can an agent be very ready for these missions? How can any agent kind of think ahead of the game, especially if you're somebody who's maybe your clan's not available and you want to just matchmake and run a mission? What can you do to kind of mitigate these issues? Well, one of the things you can do is you want to probably have 1 or 2 or 3 pocket builds that you're going into, because in different scenarios, depending on your team dynamic, what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself in a position where you're going to be either swapping skills from time to time, or you're going to be swapping builds depending on the encounters or depending on the legendary mission that you're actually playing. And this is very important. If you notice, right, in this garage here, I'm using a stinger and I'm also using a turret. By the time we move to the next area, I have to switch to a turret and a jammer, because the role that I'm going to be playing is going to be very important in making sure that my team stays alive by constantly jamming all of these mechs and jamming all of these bots to not have them destroy my, my team and to destroy my players. And so that is the goal of my build or of my setup. And this is something that I've had to change multiple times to be able to give us that flexibility and give us that success that we need in any mission. Sometimes I've gotten to this place and I found myself in a position where I have to switch to a tank build because the setups were not necessarily done well. In this group, 2 people have turrets as well. So we have 3 turrets, and that's always good because those turrets can stop enemy NPCs from advancing to you. They can stop drones, before they get to you guys. They can blow them up before even reaching you. We have the, the gentleman, or I don't know if it's a lady, that has the Future Initiative build, and they also seem to have the BTSU gloves. If you notice, they're actually proccing and putting us at overcharge, so our damage is actually quite respectable. These are the things you must think about when you walk into the hardest mission in the game. Going in with your clan is a whole different, package than going in with your, with a randomly match-made group. With your clan members, you more than likely have the luxury of communication. Going in with a match-made group, you don't have that. So you must be at the top of your game and very well prepared in order for you to be able to leverage every single benefit that this, that your build or your teammate has against the enemy, and make sure that you mitigate every single means that they're going to try to take you guys out, because that is the only goal of the enemy NPCs, designed in different styles, programmed in different styles. So why did I even bother making this video? Well, in the past few days, I played 2 of the most excruciating legendary missions I've ever played. In fact, in one of them, I had to switch to a tank build, and I think I took out about 70% of the enemy NPCs in any encounter that we got to, because a lot of the people on that team did not want to listen. I asked them, I said, hey, can you guys please switch to a turret? No show. They pretended like they didn't hear. I basically typed the comment and said, hey, can you switch to this? Can you change your build to this? That's all you have to do. I understand you're not a skill build, but if you're all red build, what's the point in using a repaired, drone on yourself when you can get yourself a revive hive? Little things like these, but these players did not want to respond. And it took a lot of patience for me not to pretty much just, exit the team. But I understand why many players exit teams, because people aren't listening. But for the sake of one other player that was on our team that was actually trying to do well, I decided to stay. The second one was a scenario and a situation where it just seemed like everybody was more than likely making a lot of different mistakes and not paying a lot of attention to the enemy NPCs. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not heroic. Do not run all the way into the middle of combat These AI will flank you and destroy you. And when you get destroyed, try not to just quit. Give your team a little bit of the benefit of the doubt to come and save you. I think this is a trend. A lot of people advance so far into these missions and then they quit. The other day, we were right here in this garage and one person died. They disconnected. The next thing you know, everybody else left because we could not matchmake. And there were 3 of us left. And I was like, there were 3 of us left. I was going to switch to a tank build, but they didn't even have enough patience. And these were shade level 2,000-3,000 players, by the way. These were not people who, are new to the game. I mean, we were literally 2 encounters away from the end of District Union, and they just bounced and just left me in the entire mission. And so I've seen these trends, and so I think it'll be beneficial if as an agent you go in, you're effective in these missions, you have your pocket builds, you have ideas, you pretty much know how to play safe and play smart and play in a way that complements your team. I believe strongly that this is going to pretty much allow for legendary runs to go very smooth. Now, finally, if you're looking for builds, if you're looking for ideas on how you can, improve your play style, if you want to kind of put together something that will work for your legendary play, I have a series of builds under my playlist called Steal This Build. I also have a lot of legendary builds that I've showcased on this channel. I'm talking almost everything that I can put my hands on that I come up with and I play these missions with. And I believe that you can actually benefit from them if you just go through the channel and just look through. You can even search all over YouTube. There are a lot of other builders who build better than me, and they will give you some really good tips. Also note though, when they're showing you builds, they may show you builds that work for the summit. Make sure that you actually assess if that build can also work for the legendary stronghold missions as well. Thank you very much for your time and audience. I appreciate you guys so much. Talk to you all in another video. Peace out.